Joining me on this special broadcast, Nalini Singh, legal editor, India Today, on what the Tahawwur Hussain Rana papers relieved. Geeta Mohan, the foreign affairs editor of India Today, on the diplomatic effort to secure his release. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, former top diplomat, joins us on the show. He's served in Pakistan. Sushant Sareen is senior fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, and Munir Ahmed is an analyst and a journalist who joins us from Pakistan. But Nalini, I want to understand the legal position first. Right now, this 64-year-old Pakistani terrorist is shivering like a leaf. He doesn't want to be extradited to India because he says that he's a Muslim of Pakistani origin. He may not survive in India. He may be tortured in India. But that time, there are documents that reveal that he was celebrating after 26/11 when 166 people died. He was celebrating and he wanted Pakistan's highest award to be given to those 10 terrorists. What do these documents reveal, Nalini?
Well, Gaurav, what we need to understand is that what a key role Tahawwur Rana actually plays, not only in the 26/11 attacks, but in the entire planning that was done by the LAT to create terror in India. And Tahawwur Rana is a key link between the LAT as well as David Headley, because it was on the instructions of Hafiz Saeed is why Tahawwur Rana was providing the logistical and the financial support to David Headley while he was in India. Along with that, Tahawwur Rana was so closely linked to the entire 26/11 terror plot that almost 200 times during the 8 visits that Headley made to India, Tahawwur Rana spoke to him on the phone. It wasn't just through the phone. In fact, through emails, there were regular correspondences between David Headley and Tahawwur Rana, and they continuously kept changing their email IDs and also using coded language in the emails so that there is no red flag on the system of any security agency. In fact, it's interesting to note that Tahawwur Rana himself was in India, not just in India, in Mumbai from the 11th of November 2008 till the 21st of November 2008, which was just 5 days before the attacks had actually taken place. And from the time that David Headley had stepped his foot on Indian soil, it was Tahawwur Rana's contacts and his people in India who were providing all of the logistical support to David Headley to help him carry out his activities. So the kind of role that is played by Tahawwur Rana in this entire case is apparent from the fact that right from the trial court in the United States, right up till the Supreme Court, each and every court has refused to not just stop his extradition, but even stay his extradition during the time his habeas corpus is pending, which means that there has been absolutely a watertight case that has been made out by the prosecutors to ensure that Tahawwur Rana can be brought back to India, can be tried for his crimes, and the victims of 26/11 and the entire country of India can finally expect some justice in the case.
Oh, absolutely. Geeta, does that message go out loud and clear? Because you've been tracking the story diplomatically. The Narendra Modi government has been trying for years to ensure he's released. And there must have been multiple hurdles to cross before the day that he's finally being sent back to India, Geeta.
Well, this is indeed a diplomatic win for the Modi administration, Gaurav, if not anything else, because like Nalini just pointed out, he was acquitted in the 26/11 case, and it was only later that when the extradition request was put in and an appeal was filed by Tahawwur Rana to stop the extradition, that the court said that there is additional information that has been provided by the Indian side, and therefore the extradition went through. And this is not just one administration. 2 consecutive governments in Washington, D.C. have agreed to extradite Tahawwur Rana, and it was only a matter of process. So a huge diplomatic win in many ways than one. And look at the manner in which it was expedited. Not just that the Biden administration agreed and there was a process in place. Donald Trump actually announced it in the White House that there is a man, this very bad man, terrorist, who will be sent back, and we're sending him back to, or we're sending him to India. So the extradition was announced by none other than the President of the United States of America. And since then, we've only seen a very smooth process of rejections for Tahawwur Rana and expedition of the request of extradition for Tahawwur Rana to India. So we'll be seeing him in India soonest. And then the real case, having one person here in India against all those actors in Pakistan, could also start.
Very interesting link that you point out, Sushant Sareen. The fact that this terrorist was that crucial link between the 10 terrorists who targeted Mumbai, the locations that had been targeted in India, and the orders that came from the likes of Major Iqbal, a certain Major Iqbal of Pakistan's ISI, and Hafiz Mohammed Saeed directly. What more can you tell us about why this is more than just an academic exercise? The sleeper cells in India and the recce that he had carried out. What more can you tell us, Sushant Sareen?
So, Gaurav, we'll have to see what is the kind of information he shucks up and how much of it is going to be relevant, because some of those guys might not be alive anymore. Some of them might be outside the long arm of the law in India. But even then, I think the fact that Tahawwur Rana was an integral part of that conspiracy to carry out the 26/11 attacks makes him an extremely valuable, person for India to have extradited and visit justice upon him. Also, I think we'll get to learn a lot more of how the networks in India operate. Also, the fact that in many cases, the Pakistanis have already picked up targets, have already made their plans, as is evident from the 26/11 attacks, that they took about 3 years before they finally put the attack, the plan in motion. So there must be other targets, and we have to see if there are some other such targets which they have identified. Secondly, I think what it does is it debunks that nonsensical propaganda, including by third-rate air marshals from the Pakistan Air Force, who have been writing articles questioning what exactly happened on 26/11, and of course, senior so-called Pakistani journalists who have been asking about, 26/11, the real truth. I think this guy is a walking, talking example of the real truth that is going to come pouring out. Third, I think this is important, not just the fact that he has been extradited, but can we make this a precedent for more extradition from the civilized world? But equally important, I think it is important for India to make certain changes in law, to start holding trials in absentia of Pakistan or Bangladesh or some other country which harbors these terrorists, to start holding trials in absentia for some of these people and even pronounce punishments, and perhaps explore ways and means of carrying out those punishments by whatever means are necessary in the countries in which they are staying, so that there are no safe havens for terrorists who come and commit mass murder in India.
That's a very important point. And perhaps with this extradition, Ambassador Dogra, does that message go out? It may take years, it may take decades, but if you are a terrorist who's been involved in killing innocent Indians, India will trace you, India will track you, and India will bring you to justice, like India intends to do with Tahawwur Hussain Rana.
Well, absolutely. And, as I was mentioning earlier, Ajmal Kasab was a foot soldier. He knew nothing except for shooting at people. Rana is the first real villain and mastermind of 26/11 that has come to India's fold. What he reveals would certainly be a major plus for Indian security agencies. More than that, what surprises me is how come a person of Pakistani origin could establish an office in India with such ease. Not only that, how come a person of Pakistani origin like Headley get 10-year visa? I know from my experience that for a Pakistani origin person, getting even a 10-day visa is next to impossible.
Unless even if he's an American or a Canadian passport holder.
Exactly. We go into minute details as to where he was born, why is he wanting to go to India, and so on. It is reciprocal. Pakistan is much more rigorous in this respect. So for him to get that 10-year visa is like climbing the Mount Everest. Who helped him?
And yet he apparently did it with relative ease. The fact that he got visas and set up a company in Mumbai, perhaps that question will finally be answered. Who were the facilitators in India, Ambassador Dogra?
Exactly. Who were the facilitators, wherever they were, for such a major visa lapse? The second thing is that Rana's role has been understated. It has been unacknowledged and is relatively unknown compared to what Headley has been accused of and what Headley did. Whereas Rana is equally culpable because he had wrecked India. He had wrecked the places where ultimately that carnage took place. So I think more needs to be brought out, as you are doing and as your channel is doing, about what Rana's intentions were, what his planning was, and how villainous his role was in the entire operation. Because with his Pakistani army background,
Absolutely.
I'm sure he was more dirty collar than white collar in this entire operation.
Sir, I'd covered Tahawwur Hussain Rana's trial in Chicago and David Coleman Headley, and information that came out was shocking. The FBI had carried out a detailed investigation. They tracked their car, both Headley and Rana. They wouldn't talk in their house, so they knew that even FBI could be snooping on them. They would get into their car and they would drive, and then they would talk in a moving vehicle. But the FBI was a step ahead. They had put listening devices in that car, and they would track that car and listen to that conversation which was played out in court. And all this information came out in that Chicago federal court. Munir, since you've joined us from Pakistan, I want to understand from you, sir, a Pakistan army captain living in Canada plots a terror attack in India, is in touch with a certain Major Iqbal and with Hafiz Saeed and with Ilyas Kashmiri and several others. Do we expect Pakistan to take action against any information that's revealed by him, either earlier in Chicago or now in India?
Thank you, first of all, for taking me to your show. And this would be my own personal opinion as a geopolitical analyst. First of all, I believe when he is a Canadian national, he's no more a Pakistani national. And if some has been a Pakistani national and now adopted another nationality, and whatever he is doing, he may be it's his own capacity and does not represent Pakistan. This is my first. This is the first point. And second is I really sympathize whatever happened in that incident, because 166 lives were gone, and those were the human beings. Of course, even we cry for the animals as well. And this is the heinous crime, and it should be investigated. And when it is when you blame some other country, I think there should be some independent judicial trial.
Federal Bureau of Investigation is not Indian.
India.
Munir, you either need to read up when you come on the show. I'm sorry, you need to read up. I don't have time to waste. You need to read up. Federal Bureau of Investigation is an American agency. It carried out an investigation. It found out that this man was involved in a terror attack. It found out of a certain Major Ilyas in Pakistan. It found out about a certain Hafiz Muhammad Saeed, and it implicated Pakistan's ISI. Is that independent enough for you? And this happened not now, but at least a decade earlier. Is that independent enough for you, sir?
You are true.
India does not want Pakistani platitudes. We want action on terror. Do we expect it?
Excuse me. Until proven guilty in real terms, then you cannot, blame Pakistan.
Absolutely, and that's exactly why Sushant says. That's exactly why Hafiz Muhammad Saeed, who's a UN-designated global terrorist, leading a UN-designated banned terrorist organization, can continue to lead the Eid namaz at the Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore, and Pakistanis say, "Oh, he's not convicted. It's okay." Munir, seriously, no wonder Pakistan is treated as an international terror center.
So Gaurav,
Sushant.
Before your program, I was just making some talking
First
points.
Sushant and then Munir.
So Gaurav, I was just making some talking points, and one of the first things which I'd written down as a jotting point, and this reflects the insincerity and the dissemble which is being indulged by your Pakistani guest. He's pretending that he's very sincere, that his heart is weeping because so many people were killed, but actually he celebrates the death of people in India. But my point, the point which I'd written was the Pakistanis will deny and claim that he's a Canadian or an American, right? This is a standard operating procedure by all these ISI-linked hacks inside Pakistan. This is their standard form of denial and plausible deniability that they maintain. That's point number one. Secondly, you talk about Hafiz Saeed. Incidentally, let me just join issue with Ambassador Dogra, who's saying that, how come this guy was given a 10-year visa to India. Sir, we have given 10-year visas to Pakistanis, third-rate Pakistani analysts who come and pretend that they are very friendly and look for friendly relations with India. We've given them multiple entry visas for many, many years. What are you talking about? These fellows who are unknown quantities living in the West. We've done that to Pakistanis. You want names? I'll give you names out here. But on Hafiz Saeed, Gaurav, look, this man has been already convicted. Now, this gentleman from Pakistan, until they have been proven guilty, Sajid Mir, who these guys said had died, had been buried, was dug up from his grave.
Shall I interrupt? May I say something? Like if
You
these
would,
are the
I would
things,
like you to, but only if you're giving us some.
Pakistani authorities have also grabbed like several.
Nobody knows what conditions under which Hafiz Saeed is living, because apparently he's in jail, but he's free to be moving around. So this is the kind of prison system which they've set, which is basically an eyewash to the international community, which had been leaning on them to act against these internationally designated terrorists. The Pakistanis do not want to do it because these are assets of the Pakistani state. So if you expect that,
it is not a matter of like who is the asset of which government. It's basically like when we see in Pakistan there are so many terrorist activities for long years, and we have been suffering from those terrorist activities. And whenever the clues are found by the agencies of Pakistan, it comes like the raw agents. And we have Pakistani authorities have also nabbed.
Is that your response?
And
really?
This is the
on civilized television, that's your response?
This is the cross-border.
No, hold on. Do you understand why Pakistan is treated like an international terror epicenter? Any terror attack across the world is linked back to Pakistan. You know why your passport is amongst the worst in the world? Why Pakistanis are strip searched virtually across the world? Because Pakistan defends terror. Because Pakistan refuses to condemn terror. Because Pakistan celebrates terror. Like this chap, Tahawwur Hussain Rana, who was celebrating with whiskey, which is haram in your religion. He was celebrating with Scotch whiskey, saying give national awards to all these 10 terrorists who are carrying out the terror attack in India.
Those who are against Pakistan since the day of its inception. And I believe that we need to take more carefully such kind of cross-border issues. And it cannot be resolved by blaming and by such kind of incidents. It should be dealt bilaterally, by sitting together, by negotiating together.
Sitting with a terror sponsor?
If there are such kind of
terror
things,
victim does not sit with a terror sponsor. Not even when you come with a begging bowl next time. I am sorry. Punish terrorists first. Perhaps, Ambassador Dogra, that is the language that India, as it's clearly currently speaking. You want good ties with India? You take action against terrorists. But Ambassador Dogra, I think Foreign Minister Jaishankar was absolutely right when he said terror and bigotry is in their DNA, or words to that effect.
He was absolutely...
Ambassador Dogra, and then I'm coming to you, Munir.
He was absolutely right. And not only the Indian Foreign Minister is saying that, the entire world is repeating that Pakistan is the base, the home, and the provider for all terror activities in the world. The British Prime Minister said 70% of all terror activities in the world have their origin in Pakistan. But let me make two other quick points. Number one, did your Pakistani guest compare loss of human and animal lives in the same sentence? That will be shocking if that is true. Second,
that's their thinking. Go on, sir.
Second, as far as visas are concerned, we cannot compare visas to a terrorist or terrorist accomplices with other visas. I don't know the background to what Sushant is saying. Sushant is a good young friend, and he must be correct as to some journalists who may have been given visas. But I am talking about a terrorist who plotted the death of over 160 Indian people, who was given a visa to establish an office here, who was given a visa to his colleague for 10 years. And this is literally unprecedented. Whatever may be the reason, this needs to be looked into as to who facilitated him. And as you said very rightly, the Indian connection in Mumbai or elsewhere in India also needs to be looked into on the basis of the fresh evidence that interrogation provides us with this Rana.
And Sushant, before I bring in Munir, I really want you to respond to this. Very well-heeled people in Mumbai, they were whining and dining this so-called blue-eyed, white American-looking Pakistani-American terrorist called David Headley. Of course, give them the benefit of the doubt. They didn't know that he was a terrorist then. But even subsequently, all these elements who engage with the Pakistanis, who come to India, go back and then abuse India. Perhaps somewhere down the line, this Tahawwur Hussain Rana and David Headley case should make it very clear. If you abuse India, you are unwelcome in India. You may want, they may beg for Indian aid, they may beg for Indian food and oil and electricity and God alone knows what. And then they go back and abuse India, whether it's on Kashmir or any other issue. It's unacceptable in New India. So, Shant, perhaps that message needs to go out loud and clear after Tahawwur Hussain Rana's interrogation.
Yeah, Gaurav, let me again join issue with you on this one. You are trying to give some kind of a clean sheet to some of those guys who were whining and dining with David Headley. And I might have agreed with you. But also remember that some of those same people whose family members were hand in glove with David Headley in one form or another were also sitting in press conferences and saying that what happened on 26/11 was an RSS conspiracy. Yes. Or have you forgotten that? So if these guys their hands were so clean, they would not have done something as treacherous as that or as treasonous as that. So forget about these lowlives living in Bombay and these Bollywood types who were doing what they were doing. But I think on the larger point, Gaurav, you and I agree, perhaps Ambassador Dogra also agrees with us. But the fact of the matter is that some of those so-called journalists who we were giving these visas to and we were welcoming and fating out here are not people who came with a clean heart. And this gentleman out here who shows his upbringing and his mental makeup when he says killing of Hindus and killing of animals, he puts on the same pedestal and then his heart weeps. So forget about this character. But these kind of guys who say that, we should sit down, we should talk about it, we should have a dialogue. We tried it. We formed a joint anti-terror mechanism. What happened with that? We gave them information about terrorists being in a certain place. You know what they used to do? They used to take that information, then work backwards. Number one, tell the terrorists that you run away from here. We will do a raid and say we found nobody out here. This is the kind of double games they have been playing. They did this not only with us, they've done this with the Americans. They've done it with everybody else. So if you think that these Pakistanis are going to come clean, that you can have a dialogue with them, that you can have peaceful coexistence with them,